Welcome into another edition of the AHSAA podcast. I'm your host, Caleb Brooks, soon to be joined by Kaden Heatherly and Michael Stallings from the Chelsea baseball program. Kaden, a pitcher there who was just selected for the North-South All-Star game from the Chelsea baseball program. He'll be competing in that down in Montgomery later on in July. And then Coach Michael Stallings, the head baseball coach there at Chelsea, he's done a fantastic job building that program up. They competed for a 6A state championship against Coleman a couple of years ago. They've been right there on the cusp of making the state championship series again over the last few years. And now they'll be making the move up to 7A next year. And we'll be getting into a tough area and playing against some really good competition. They're leaving a tough area that they were already in there with Briarwood, Mountain Brook, and Homewood, and going to be entering into another tough area there around the Birmingham area with that 7A area that's right there in Birmingham. You guys know the teams that are there, the Spain Parks, the Hewitts, the Oak Mountains, Hoovers, Thompsons, those teams. I mean, all of them are really, really good when it comes to baseball. And so going to be really, really interesting to watch them make the move up. But I'll now send you over to that conversation as I talk with Kaden Heatherly, pitcher for Chelsea, and head coach Michael Stallings from the Chelsea Hornets. I'm now joined by my next guest here on the AHSAA podcast, Kaden Heatherly from Chelsea High School, the Chelsea baseball team, and Coach Michael Stallings, head coach there of the Chelsea baseball team. And for you guys, Coach, it was another great year this past year for you guys. You get all the way to the third round of the playoffs and have a chance again to be right there competing for a state championship. And with what y'all have now done over the last, 5-6 years consistently now, has that kind of become the standard there for your program at Chelsea is, hey, we expect to have a deep playoff run and have a chance to be right there competing for a state championship at the end of the year?
Yeah, I definitely think that that's become the expectation for our program. And more than that, just the expectation of the guys that are coming up through, and the younger guys that we have coming into our program have been able to see those in front of them have success and, have good seasons. And so that's kind of changed the dynamic to me of just baseball in general in our community. And so we see more guys that are doing more to better themselves.
Kaden, for you, you're a player and you kind of have entered into what this program has become now on the varsity level. And do you feel that as a player coming in, the expectations and, maybe a little bit of pressure to make a deep run and to be right there competing for a state championship?
For sure. We had, some really good guys the years before, Connor Ball, Brock Hill, Parker Zush, and coming in as a pitcher, you just got to just relax and go in there and just don't think about who you have to or what you have to do, but just get it done.
You were able to kind of fill some big shoes this year, helping this team get deep in the playoffs. And what worked for you? What allowed you to pitch really well this year and to be one of the guys that Coach Stallings was really able to count
on? Really, I just put hard work in, worked every day, and just whenever I got the ball, I just wanted to give the team a win and just give them a chance to win every time I stepped on the field.
Coach, it had to be a little nerve-wracking knowing what you were having to replace, with, Brock Hill and Connor Ball and those type of guys. And going into the year, what was your expectation for this pitching staff, and did they maybe exceed your expectations a little bit?
I think, in a lot of ways, I think they did exceed some of those expectations just because there was, I don't want to say a lack of experience, but trying to replace as many innings as we did, as we knew that we were going to have to this year. The innings that Connor Ball pitched, that Brock Hill pitched, that Parker Zush pitched. But with that being said, we had some guys that we had a lot of confidence in. Kaden being one of them, Reed Gongor being one, Andrew Floyd being another. That we knew that we had guys that were very capable of coming in and filling those shoes. And I think that they just rose to the occasion, and they knew what was in front of them. They knew what was expected and what they would have to do in order to be successful. And they got after it and they worked hard. And, so I guess to some extent, the unknown was maybe where the exceeding the expectation was, but the fact that they did what it took, I think that they had that in them the whole time. So just having that foresight to know, what they needed to do. And the guys that those three, and Kaden included there, workhorses, they just get after it, and they do everything that they possibly can to be the best at what they do for us on the mound from a pitching standpoint. And just super proud of the year that we had, our team, and especially the year that we expect Kaden to have next year.
Kaden, at what point during this season do you really feel like things really started clicking for this group, and that you guys started really feeling good about what you guys could accomplish this season?
I feel like it was our second area game at Mountain Brook. Reed came in. He went 6 innings, I believe, and then I came in, closed the game, we won, and I feel like that was more of like a momentum shift in our season, and we just pushed forward after that.
Coach, is that kind of when you feel like things really kind of started clicking as well for this group?
Yeah, no doubt. We opened that series up with Mountain Brook, and we opened up at home with them, and we lost to them in a 1-run game. And that's being at home, losing your home area, your first area game, that can be very deflating. But the guys never wavered. They, hey, we got another game this week. And, just their approach to it really, really impacted the outcome. And, it was just, for me, not knowing how they would respond, and then watching them work, at practice the next day, and then getting ready to play the game, it kind of settled that feeling of, hey, we're going to be okay. And then, just getting after it, going into the next series, the series with Homewood, we lost a 1-run game to them as well. But it was a game that we played very well in. We got really good pitching. And you knew that if we could just figure out a way to win against Briarwood, that this team was starting to figure it out. So, and we were playing really well, even though we lost two of those area games, one to Mount Brook, one to Homewood. We were playing good baseball, and that just speaks to the caliber of the teams that were in our area. So, but very proud of them and how they responded after that loss, and that was the turning point. I agree with Kaden on that. That Mountain Brook game at Mountain Brook was the turning point.
Kaden, I was talking with Coach AJ Kehoe from Phoenix City a couple of weeks ago, and their area down there with Smith Station, Auburn, them, it's so deep. Y'all are in a similar situation where your area is so deep that when you get out of the area and you do make the playoffs after getting through an area like that, it has to give the team a lot of confidence going into the postseason, knowing, hey, we basically just got through a playoff run of 3 other playoff caliber teams. Now let's just go have some fun.
For sure it is.
Tell me about just how that kind of relaxed you guys as you guys got into the playoffs, and just knowing, what you guys had already gotten through in the regular season.
Yeah, for sure. So against Briarwood, we faced a couple guys, so in like 90, mid-90s, whatever. And so like we were thinking like, well, we hit off them, so why don't we just, we've shown, we've proved ourselves, so we don't really have anything to like prove. We're just, yeah.
In the postseason this year, kind of tell me, you've kind of gone from, you were a part of it, you were on the team, you were there, but then you kind of became a guy, and all of a sudden you're getting relied on, and that there's a little bit more pressure. How different was it going from being a guy that was on the team, getting in a little bit, to now, everybody's kind of counting on you and you're in some of these big time moments?
Oh, for sure. I enjoyed it because I love getting the ball and putting in those pressure situations because I just wanted to get the job done and do it for my team.
Coach, you talked about the lack of experience going into the year for the most part with this group, and them kind of gaining experience as the year went on, making this deep playoff run. Now with the guys that you do have coming back, there has to be a lot of confidence around this team and around what you guys can do now going into next year as well.
Yeah, I mean, we're excited about next year's group, and the fact that they've got a whole year to put work in and get prepared for that. Knowing the kind of guys that we have, we know that they're going to do everything that they can to become the best version of themselves for our program and our team. So excited about that with everything we've got going on this summer with our workouts and our throwing program and all that kind of stuff. Yeah. But we've got a good group coming back and some guys that, will have some good varsity experience. So a lot to be excited for there for sure.
Kaden, obviously you're going to play some travel ball this summer. There's other guys on the team that play travel ball. And how important is that time of year for a player? When you get to go play some travel ball, you get to kind of maybe get away from being a part of this team and go be around some different guys, learn some things from different guys. Just how important is this time of year for you guys as players?
It's a really big development time, I feel like, because, you get more innings pitched over the summer and you get to put more work in because you don't have school or whatever. And I feel like the coaches that I have right now, like they put in a lot of work with me and, developing pitches and developing spots and other players, developing, helping me develop as a player. And I feel like it's a really important time of the year to put in work.
I know you just got back from vacation and now you're getting back with the team. Were you pretty excited to get back with your guys and get with this team and start working towards next season?
Yes, sir, for sure. We have a really good group of guys this year. I'm really excited for what it has in store for us.
You were also selected for the North-South All-Star game. First off, congratulations on that. And then second of all, just what are you looking forward to most about that? You get to, with travel ball, be around some of the best guys and play against them all the time, but you're going to get to go really be with, some of the top guys from this state and get to be in a setting down there in Montgomery. What are you looking forward to most about being a part of that North-South All-Star game?
I'm looking forward to being around, like you said, with some really good players that I usually don't get to play with. And I'm looking forward to just making some good memories with those guys and just competing up there.
What kind of feeling is it, getting selected for that, knowing that, other coaches and other people view you as one of the top players in the state as well?
Yeah, man, it's a really great feeling because I put in a lot of work and it feels like it's really paid off.
Coach, you've had, other guys that have made the North-South All-Star game, been able to represent you down there. How big is that for your program when, multiple years and, you're able to have guys that go down there or a part of that and can represent your program on a state level?
Yeah, I mean, it's exciting that our program has kind of evolved to that level to where we're able to send guys there, we've got guys that I feel like that have come through every year now that should have a chance to compete in that and be on all metro teams or all county teams or even all state, so it just speaks volumes to the caliber of players that have been coming through our program as of late.
Kind of a curveball thrown at you guys as coaches right at the end of the year where we, had decided on region play. Now we're going back to area play for the next 2 years. And how did that affect things from your standpoint with, how you had already made some schedules and had already met with the other area guys and that type of stuff?
Yeah, so we had already kind of finalized our region schedule and started filling in our non-region games. Yeah, to be honest, my schedule was about complete. And then when they changed and went back to area, you basically just had to start over again, which was fine. I was kind of looking forward to the region format. I think it would have been a much needed change for our state. To me, the fact that more games were going to matter was a very important thing. You just take, for example, our area last year. With us making the playoffs and Mountain Brook making the playoffs, two very good teams did not make the playoffs. And I thought going to region play that more quality teams would have a chance to make the playoffs. So, a little disappointed that it didn't work out, but hey, it is what it is. And I'm excited for area play just the same. So, especially with us making the jump to 7A, it's going to be a different challenge. But we're very much ready to take that challenge on.
Yeah, making the jump to 7A, what will be y'all's area now that they decided on areas?
So we'll be in the area with Spain Park, Oak Mountain, and Hewitt.
So, I mean, Kaden, knowing that y'all are making the jump up, I mean, how exciting is that as a player? You're going to enter into a new classification, new area opponents next year. That, these teams are right at the top of the state every single year. That's got to be really exciting as a player, knowing you're going to get to play some of the top competition next year.
For sure, because, these guys are like really good and some of the top players in the state, and getting to compete against them will be really fun next year. Exciting to see.
Coach, what do you feel like is going to be the biggest challenge of making the jump up to 7A for you guys?
It's like I told our guys, I said, we play these teams every year anyway. So there's not going to be any kind of shock factor. Hey, we're playing Spain Park or we're playing Oak Mountain. We play those teams every year. I think more than anything, it's just different. It's a different competitive environment. It's a different area opponent. So now you take the teams that you've been playing maybe earlier prior to getting into area play, and now they're just your area opponents. So for us, the way we go about our business is going to be the same. I mean, we're going to work hard and do everything that we can to prepare. We've got a very tough schedule next year. And our schedule is going to be tough on the front end before we get into area play so that we're prepared for whatever we may see. So I don't want them to see velocity for the first time when we get into an area game. I don't want them to see a great hitting lineup before we get into area play, for the first time when it's an area game. So we schedule accordingly, and our guys should be prepared. That's the whole purpose of making a tough schedule, is to prepare them for what they're going to see in area play.
Kaden, as a player not getting to do region play, how did you feel about them making that change? What was your initial reaction when you found out that there would be region play next year? And then what was your reaction when they went back to the area format and everything?
I was excited for region play because, like Coach said, more meaningful games like throughout the season instead of, it's just 6 games. And if you do bad those 6 games, you pretty much don't have a chance at playoffs. So I was more excited for it, but area, it is what it is, and we'll just have to show up and play.
What do you think is going to be like Coach said, y'all have played against these guys all the time. So what is going to be the biggest difference in going from just playing them in the regular season to now those being the most meaningful games of the season against those teams?
I feel like there'll be, like more high pressure games, like more at stake to say. And I feel like we'll have to, just show up and really focus to get the job done.
Coming in, going from 6A to 7A, do you guys have a little bit of a chip on your shoulder or maybe have something to prove coming up and, saying, hey, we're not just coming up just to be here. We're coming up to make some noise? Yeah,
for sure. We're going to have to show them that we belong in 7A and that we're there to play.
Coach, kind of tell me about what y'all's plans are for this summer. Do you play many games during the summer? Do you go to many camps, or what do you kind of have planned for this group to get prepared for next year?
We don't. We kind of moved away from playing games in the summer. We've got so many guys that are involved in travel ball and so many guys that are traveling at different points during the week for these big tournaments all across the Southeast. So to me, it became counterproductive to try to schedule games knowing that you may not have the pitching that you would like to going into those games because they were either throwing the previous weekend or they were about to throw on the weekend coming up. So we just kind of get in the weight room. We get into our throwing program during the summer, during June, and we introduce all that to them, and really just trying to see gains in the weight room and getting stronger, getting faster. Things that are going to help us moving into the fall as we start preparing for the upcoming season.
Kaden, tell me a little bit about your travel team. Who are some of the guys that you've enjoyed getting to play with, that you play against during the year, and how do you feel about the group that you're getting to play with this summer?
I get to play with guys, like a bunch of big names like Mason Perigo. He's committed to Duke. He goes to Vestavia. Trip Harrison from Alexandria. He's a little lefty. He's really good. And playing with him just like it makes me feel like, it's not going to be, you're not going to be the easiest top guy. You have to compete for your spot on the team. And so it really pushes me to, do better and put more work in throughout the week.
When you're around other guys who have already committed somewhere and things like that, how much does that kind of motivate you as a player as well?
Yeah, because, I'm playing with them. So I'm like, well, if I'm good enough to play with them, just keep putting in work. Down doing my thing, and the time will come eventually.
Coach and Kaden, really appreciate you guys taking the time to join me today here on the AHSAA podcast. And good luck to you, Kaden, this summer as you're going to be playing against, some great competition, getting to go down to the North-South All-Star game and do a lot of other cool things here in the summer. And good luck to you as well, Coach. Always good seeing you and talking to you, and I look forward to seeing you guys again here soon.
Thank you, Caleb.
That's going to do it for us here on the AHSAA podcast. I want to thank Kaden Heatherly and Coach Michael Stallings for taking the time to join me. They had just wrapped up a workout up there at Chelsea, and were able to get right from the workout over to come on and chat with me. So I really appreciate that, and look forward to seeing the product that Coach Stallings is able to put out there onto the field next year for Chelsea. It's continued to grow. It's continued to get better year after year. And as I mentioned in the opener, going to be entering a tough region or a tough area. It was going to be a region. Now it is going to be area, but I mean, Oak Mountain, Spain Park, and Hewitt, it doesn't get much tougher than that. And so going to be really interesting to see what Chelsea does at the 7A level. But I know Coach Stallings really well, and I know he's going to have his group prepared, and they're going to be hungry. They're going to be ready to go and try to make some noise at 7A. And 7A is in baseball, and you could say softball now as well with what we saw this past year with how many teams were right there with a chance to win it. It is 7A is the toughest that there is to try to win a state championship in baseball and softball at the moment. So many good teams, so many good arms, so many good hitters. I mean, it's just the players that you're seeing go places, go to big time places, get drafted out of high school. They're coming from the 7A programs in the state. And so it'll be a lot of fun to watch Chelsea now entering it into that classification and seeing how they handle it. Opelika, another one that's going to be, has had a really good baseball program there with Coach Zach Blatt, and they're going to be making the move up to 7A as well and entering into that area with Phoenix City, Smith Station, and Auburn. It's going to be really, really interesting to watch next year. But that's going to do it for us here on the AHSAA podcast. We'll be back next week with more episodes right here.